So this, ladies and gentlemen, is a Vodafone 1605, and it's a rather uninspiring name for such a quirky and interesting looking gadget. It's also known as the HTC TyTN, the O2 XDA Tryon, and the Orange FPV M3100, among other names. Though the naming is not that important. What is important though is the form factor, and well, the nostalgia oozes out of this thing in 2026 like nobody's business. So I'm here to answer one important question. Is this thing worthy of a geek and gadget hoarder's collection? Let's find out. So, I will not try to bore you with the technical details. Yeah, it's got a Samsung processor. It's got a front selfie camera. Before selfies were a thing, actually, I believe this was more intended to be used as a 3G video call camera rather than a selfie. It's got a 2 megapixel camera, main camera on the back, and it's got a macro mode and a flash at that. However, the most impressive hardware aspect by far of this gadget is the lateral slider QWERTY keyboard movement on the side, whatever you call it. I don't know what to call it, but you get the idea. Just check out this action. Now, of course, I have exaggerated the movement just to showcase its party piece. This sliding QWERTY keyboard on the sides. And, well, I guess we're getting into the hardware aspect of the matter, so let's talk build quality and construction. First of all, ergonomics. I think that this little device is a genius piece of tech. I mean, you can hold the gadget with your pointing finger and your pinky, like so, in a landscape mode, and just type away to your heart's content. Also, the front buttons are pretty accessible, pretty well laid out, and they don't seem to overlap even if you have sausage fingers like myself. The construction and the materials are really not that impressive in 2026. We are pampered in 2026 with glass and metal sandwich phones and exotic materials. Even though they seem clinical and boring, they're miles ahead in terms of reliability and rigidity and resistance compared to such a gadget from 20 odd years ago. Years makes no difference. There's plastic all the way through, and it doesn't really flex all that much. However, when you start to look in detail, you can actually see that there are some aspects of it that don't really please the engineering side of any tech hoarder, let's put it mildly. So yeah, there's creaks, there's rattles, there's flexing in the screen, enough to put you away from analyzing this thing too much. The biggest letdown, however, I think is this screen, which is a 2.8 inch resistive touchscreen. Well, you get the idea. By now, it's pretty obvious that capacitive touchscreens are the way to go, and this resistive technology is not really that reliable or impressive. So this thing operates on Windows Mobile 5. That's not really such a reliable or user-friendly OS, and wow, that's coming from me, the ever anachronistic tech user. You might imagine what this thing felt like compared to an iPhone. It wasn't really to anybody's cup of tea. Maybe a few enthusiastic Windows Mobile users out there considered it interesting. I would count myself amongst them. I believe that Windows Mobile 5 was a bit, and Windows Mobile in general was a platform lacking in too many animations and glitzy, unimportant and distracting aspects of, 3D movements and so on. The menus were clearer, crisper, though not necessarily easier to use. Though they did offer that, that expert feel, that bespoke engineering analytical side to an OS. Or near as makes no difference, it was clear that's not the future anymore, and you can see why these types of gadget came out of fashion at one point or another. However, that doesn't mean that this is a sales flop. Quite the contrary, really. The HTC TyTN is not a sales letdown for the parent company. I came about it while on my fishing expeditions for my iPacks, which you can see right here. So I bought a bunch of iPacks, the ever so enticing, at least for me, 4700 unit. It came in a lot with these HTCs. Initially, I thought this HTC was gonna be pretty valuable, though at a further glance I found out that they're pretty widespread and you can find them anywhere between 30 to 70 euros. However, that higher mark range seems to be pushing it a bit. I don't really think these are worth all that much. So in that regard, I don't think I'm gonna keep this device. There's another reason why I don't really want to hold on to it. Since I am a huge iPack fan, I also have a pair of iPack data messengers with fully keyboards, also physical keyboards attached to them. So I shall just show you here what I mean. And well, since this HTC does pretty much the same thing, and also being a Windows Mobile operating system, also like the HP iPack data messengers, and well, since both models operate on the same system and offer the same mechanical QWERTY keyboard design, this iPack being slightly better built, or at least slightly more impressive due to its thinness and so on, I think I shall be parting with my Vodafone 1605 or whatever the name might be. Next generation smartphones were on their way, and the writing was on the wall for QWERTY designed physical keyboard smartphones with resistive touchscreens. However, that does not stop me from buying, collecting, and hoarding weird and quirky obsolete tech stuff like this plethora of iPacks and HTC phones, so you don't have to. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.